Okay, we are rolling, and I am super excited to introduce Christina McIntosh, who did not think that she was going to be speaking on today's call. She thought that she was just going to be answering. She had actually replied to a post in our director group, but I loved everything she had to share when we were talking about fundraisers, and I think what an awesome opportunity right now, because it couldn't be a better timing than what's coming up in the month of May. But I just can't thank you enough for sharing you know, all of your great, and I know you've got a lot to share with us, but anyway, so just a little bit about Christina. She is married to her husband Andy, and they have kids Emmy and Sam, who I think she was just saying that was it Sam that was oh gosh, wait, didn't write it down, but
he has autism.
He has autism, but he just got a job, right? Mm-hmm. You said he just got his first job. So that is
Tropicana Field with the Tampa Bay Rays. So if you go to a baseball game, look for him.
That will be awesome. Yeah. And she has been with this business for 22 years. And during that time, she has accumulated 835,806 in career sales. And she has 113 career recruits. She has earned at least 12 trips, we think, right? Counting them all, I know they'll be great. So that is totally awesome. Those achievements are great. And, you know, she has been an advanced director, but this girl is working to get it back. She's focused on re-promoting again, and that is awesome. I think that that says a lot about you. You just keep coming back, and has earned excellence in sales and recruiting a number of times. So her proudest moment or proudest accomplishment is her family. She has 2 kids, young adults, obviously Sammy and Emmy, and who had against many odds flourishing against many odds growing up. So another thing about her is that she is transitioning to table coming up the second week of May. She has done the training on it, and she's been playing with it. And of course, that is the goal, is to get over to table, especially with all the things that are happening on Facebook. And she has her first couple of table hosts scheduled, and she's going back to home parties again, which is probably her love. I know it's part of what I love, but that's how I came into the business. So without further ado, I am going to give this girl the floor, because she totally has a lot to share. So thank you so much.
Clammy hands talking to all of you. So I'm not usually nervous talking, Don, I'll tell you that. I have the gift of the gab, and it could be my teaching days, but I'm honored, humbled. I don't know what to be here with all of you sharing something from my end, but so I'm talking about fundraising, and I made some notes. I don't know that you know how long I'll talk for, but one of the things that I wanted to share, and this has come up in discussion recently, is one of the things that I tend to have with different from others is a little bit of a different perspective on fundraising. When I first started fundraising, I don't know how many years ago, I stumbled, which a lot of people do, because people struggle with the 10% and 15%, because so many of us are used to these pitches that like the schools get for the cookie dough and the gift wrap, that they're getting 30 and 40%. And so people have struggled. And I know I hear a lot that people say that they submit it as a regular show and they give their commission instead. I chose years ago not to do that, because I found that it set a difficult precedent for my team, because their commission was not the same. So they couldn't give the same amount. And sometimes people are like, well, I could give 20% versus the 10 to 15% for the fundraiser. Some of our consultants aren't making that much. So I chose very early on not to do that swap out, because I didn't want them to feel like they had to spend more than they were actually making. And I also found at least two instances that I could remember when I was reflecting, where consultants actually had people approach them and said, well, when I worked with Christina, because I had done that previously, and that's when I became more aware of it. So it kind of set them up for a negative experience when it came to fundraising. So when those things started happening, I took a different look at it and a different approach. And I kind of really sat down and thought about it. Why is our percentage 10% and 15%? and realize that, you know, when you look at it from a business perspective, and I've never spoken to home office about this, so this is my thought process on it, is it's easier for them to give away free product because there's a markup on product, whether it's Pampered Chef or any other product. But to hand out cash, it's a whole different ball game. But what I've worked with my team over the years on is making the pitch when they're talking about a fundraiser and somebody questions the 10 or 15%, that we are not marking up our products. We're not doubling the cost of a candy bar. We're not tripling the cost of a roll of wrapping paper that once it's gone, and that half the time we don't even need when we buy it. We are giving them the value of a product that is the exact same value that we would sell it at a cooking show or in the catalog or anywhere else. There's no difference in price. And the more heart to heart I have with organizations on that, and the more that I can get my team to buy in on that, we're able to very quickly step away from that feeling that we have to give more. And a lot of times my consultants will ask me, or if I'm networking with other consultants, they'll say, but don't you think we should give more? And I'm like, do you really think when the fun run guy goes to the elementary school and pitches the fun run that he's giving a percentage of his commission? I mean, he's making money too when the entire school is raising money for the fun run and all these cheap little gadgets that these kids get enticed by. They're not giving of their own money. Why are we expected to do the same? So it's just, I just wanted to start with that perspective and trying to change that a little bit. We are doing a good thing. It is first about the organization. So yes, we are taking a little bit of a commission cut. But I don't think that there should be that expectation that we have to. We're giving of our time. We're giving of our expertise. Now with the way technology is, for those of us that started back in the days of tallying order forms, you know, there's actually more time being put in now because now we're trying to get creative and do QR codes and Facebook pages and things like that. We are working for the organization and we can't give 100% of ourselves, including our financial backing. And for consultants who maybe don't see the numbers that we see as leaders, they shouldn't be expected to either. So that's just, I just wanted to share my perspective, whether people agree with it or not. That's just kind of the direction I've kind of brought our organization, that focus on the organization, focus on the charity that you're working with, and everybody will benefit. And just make sure everybody understands, especially with where the percentages come from. So with that being said, one of the things I figured I would start with, and this is kind of, I guess, what I was talking about 2 weeks ago, is really looking outside the typical things that we tend to fundraise for, and including some of those. So we know, you know, national organizations, American Cancer Society, Alzheimer's Association, but taking those things like that, taking those national organizations and going a little bit further with them. So let's start with those first. So the national organizations that have walks or 5Ks that have team activities. So Making Strides, Relay for Life, Walk to End Alzheimer's, cystic fibrosis, all those national organizations, is reach out to the coordinators in your area and ask them if you can put out a team challenge. Can you connect with the teams to get each team to fundraise? So 1 or 2 consultants on my team each year for probably close to 15 years has worked with American Cancer Society for Making Strides, off and on with Relay. And we do that. We come in, Making Strides usually has like a huge kickoff. And I know this doesn't necessarily focus just on May, but I'm just kind of thinking fundraising overall. And this will apply to other walks that are coming up. But Making Strides usually has a kickoff for their walk about 2 months out. So here in Florida, we have our kickoff usually the 3rd or 4th week of August. And then the walks are in the month of October. So I always partner with them and they let me come in and set up a table at their kickoff and we sign teams up right there and then to run fundraisers. So having that partnership with those national organizations that have walks to get out to their teams, come up with a creative challenge. One thing that we were going to do this year, and unfortunately, I don't know about everybody else's American Cancer Societies, ours, the staffing has gotten cut dramatically to the point of our local has 1 employee running major walks. Everybody else is volunteer. So she was just, because this is the first one since COVID, she was too overwhelmed to do it for Relay, but she wants to do it for Strides, is we decided we are going to do a team challenge And we're going to sit down and decide what the parameters of the team challenge are going to be. And those teams can actually earn entries into earning a huge Pampered Chef basket that they can then use to, to raffle off, to auction off, whatever, to raise more money. And then we'll do that again next year for relay, because at relay, if you've never been to a relay, you should definitely go to a relay. It's just a whole nother experience. But they're fundraising right at relay, so they would have that additional basket for additional fundraising efforts. Hold on, I just saw somebody put a question. How do you find the point person to set your table up? So just call your local American Cancer Society office and ask them if they have a kickoff event for relay, for making strides, etc. That Pampered put in there, that Pampered Chef has been partners with American Cancer Society for how many years. I'd have to go back and look, and just say, I want to continue that. And that's the thing, is anytime you're trying to pitch to a national or local organization, is letting them know this is about them. This is about you trying to put money in their account for their benefit. And that's something that I've noticed when I've worked with my team, is listening to them, asking, all right, what did you say to them? What did you offer to do for them? It's not about them hosting a fundraiser so you can make numbers and you can earn extra incentives and you can get a higher commission. It's what did you do for them? And it's kind of taking the whole concept we say that when we make shows about our host and their wish list and what do they want and what are we, how are we going to partner with them? We're taking this to a little bit of a newer level, because they have other opportunities in front of them. And sometimes they look at our fundraisers as peanuts, a small amount, but every little dollar helps. So I do ask them, to talk to them about what are you offering them? Not saying, will you do a fundraiser for me? What can I do to help you? So when you call the local office, just let them know about our partnership, that Pampered Chef has a long history in charitable giving, and you want to partner with them to do for them. And then share with them, say, do you have a kickoff that myself or a couple of us from my team could come? This is what we'd like to do. This is how we'd like to partner with all your teams and offer them something together. We did a couple years, many years back, we did a large cooking show. We got a location, we found a sponsor to sponsor the rental, and the teams could bring in guests, and they kind of helped contribute to the food and the drinks and stuff like that. And we did a large cooking show, and each team's orders got submitted towards their team fundraiser. So it's just a way to bring those multiple teams together. And it's not just going to be the national companies, it's local walks. We have, so at least here, we have so many local organizations that do 5Ks and local walks to bring awareness and to raise money, is reaching out to those as well. And just kind of on that note of where to find some of these places, this was literally the night that Patty reached out to me. I kind of was sitting on Facebook doing some check-ins and stuff like that. And all these organizations were all ones that came across my newsfeed in about 5 minutes. So literally, as somebody's mentioning their organization's event, they've got a walk, they've got a fundraiser, they've got a celebrity chef, I'm just sitting here writing down them. Some of them I'm already working with, but I write down every single one when I'm on there, when I'm focused on fundraising. And the reality is, it's almost, for us as leaders working with our teams, what's the number one thing we hear? We don't have bookings. They say recruiting fixes everything. Fundraisers fix everything. When we give back, think about it. When you're doing a fundraiser, you're going to reach out to people you have not worked with. You're going to meet customers that you have not worked with, that are not in your circle. Now, it's either a one and done fundraiser or it's your lifeblood. It's your lifeblood if you follow up and do the customer service, and then you can book the additional parties with people outside your circle. But if they don't do the follow up, it's a one and done. So, all right, so I got a little off track there, but as far as where to find them, Facebook is kind of like my Bible of fundraisers. I always have my notebook out. If I see something new pop up, I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of keeping a running list and then checking them off as I contact them. So we talked about national organizations, walks, and so forth like that. Another one that people don't always think about is I kind of work with some organizations that can double dip. So example being, y'all heard about my son with autism. Everybody should have near them or within their state an ARC. ARC stands for Advocates for Rights of the Challenged. And those organizations run group homes for individuals with varying disabilities. We have one, we're waiting on their local CEO to approve it. We did this about 10 to 12 years ago, but we did a fundraiser where we made a wish list of everything each of the group homes needed to update their kitchens. We put cookware in most of the kitchens 10 to 12 years ago from Pampered Chef so that they had that stuff. We made sure to get can openers in there because we did it prior to hurricane seasons because they have to staff those locations for hurricanes. But so this is where the double dipping's coming in, is now we're setting up a registry with everything that they need. The registry is connected to a fundraiser. Did you know that you can connect a registry to a fundraiser? It doesn't have to be just to a typical kitchen show or cooking show. Local, again, so you can see where sometimes my focus goes. We have a local school called the Hope Center for Autism, and they last year opened up a secondary program for individuals aging out of the school system. And they built like an apartment in their school so they could learn independent living skills. We did a registry. People shopped from the registry for themselves, and they shopped for the registry, shopped for the registry of the school, but they also made purchase for themselves. So they got a percentage of the sales, but the school also got product to put in the kitchen for the students to learn from. And then I go in from time to time and cook with the kids, the young adults, I should say. So, and that's just something extra that I do. But you can do it for places like the Ark. If you have a house near a hospital, such as Hope Lodge, we have one here that I work with called Molly's House. It's literally just affiliated with the hospital that it's next to. Ronald McDonald houses, places like that that have kitchens, where again, you can update the products in their kitchen and get them a check. So they're double dipping, but they're doing it within the rules. Basically, you're not breaking any rules there. But that goes on to churches, religious organizations, temples, anywhere like that. So many of them have it, and so many of them cook for the local neighborhoods and so forth. Social and civic clubs. I belong to a women's club, and they were redoing their whole kitchen. And they looked at me and they're like, man, I wish we had some Pampered Chef in here. And I said, well, let's put a registry together and a fundraiser together. We've done it twice already. We're about to do a third one in May. So this is going to be the third year we've done it. Each year, we're kind of updating the kitchen a little bit more and more. And I put the registry together. I go through their kitchen and say, okay, for these events, because I'm a member of the club, so I know what they need. We need this, this, and this. If you're not a member, then sit down with them. Offer to have them reading. Bring coffee with you. Make it about them, but get to know what do they need in their kitchen that they could use from Pampered Chef, and then set up the registry and set up the fundraiser. For any of those that I have going on in May this year, what we are doing is we're setting them up for May. We're going to close it at the end of May so they get the double donation. And then anything that's left on the registry will get connected to a new link, a new fundraiser link, so that we can continue to fundraise for them and fill up their kitchens. Nancy Jo, you're on mute.
There we go. Another thing that I had brainstorm about was to do the fundraise, especially for the churches and just anybody and lodges, things that want to include ordering product, to raise funds in May and then do the double host rewards in June. So you always have people that at the end of the fundraiser, oh, I wanted to order, I forgot, and so you'll turn that into a June show, get them up to the 650 and let them have double host rewards and a place to spend the check that they got in May.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. See, this is great.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you did, because I had not thought of that. So you just took this all up to another level, and I have 2 meetings tomorrow with more organizations. So I appreciate that. So that's kind of the double dipping. The other thing to think about is, depending on where everybody lives, I don't know where everybody else's school lets out. Our schools are out in the next 3 weeks. We end before Memorial Day, so I guess 4 weeks. But I've been starting to reach out to sports teams, choral groups, band groups, and saying, listen, fundraise now. Nobody else is fundraising at the school right now because they're wrapping up the year. Fundraise now and get these checks for next year. Reach out to your freshman, sophomore, junior football players. Reach out to your freshman, sophomore, junior band members If our band and choral groups used to travel every year and the kids would fundraise every year, we haven't fundraised, or they haven't traveled since COVID, but I have emails out to the band directors, the choral directors in a couple county areas right around us saying, are you going to start to travel next year? If you are, let's get them fundraising now to give them a jump start in the fall when all those other fundraisers are going to kick in. So I have 2 wrestling coaches that I'm talking to that are just like, if you're giving me twice as much, no, we're not waiting to the fall, let's do it now. So they're working with the students that are matriculating again to the next year that aren't graduating. One of the 2 schools, 2 of the senior parents reached out and said, hey, we're really grateful for what our kid went through. Can we still fundraise to help the program? I'm not going to say no. So they're still helping out. So even though the school years are wrapping up, fundraise now for next year. Carolyn mentioned her son's robotics team. Absolutely. These kids, these parents are spending a ton. Let them fundraise now. Project graduation, and this is going to take you preparing for next year, but you can do a little bit of it this year. If you have a project graduation at your high school, you still probably have time, but they actually want cooking things because our project graduation gives away air fryers, pressure cookers, things like that. So I'm waiting to hear back from our local project graduations to say, hey, can we make a wish list so people that don't want to buy for themselves can buy these items that you can give away at project graduation and get a check. The check will come in after project graduation, so they'll use that for next year. Or I will now propose to them what Nancy Jo just suggested, that we, get products in June and we can have those for next year as well. But project graduation is another big one. There's just so many opportunities. And honestly, I'll put some wording that I've been using with some of the organizations in the Facebook group, but I'm going to be honest, I'm just keeping it simple. I'm just using words that I think Nancy Jo or somebody else tagged on 2 weeks ago. They haven't done this in 42 years for anyone other than our national partners. We don't know if they're going to do it again. And the only other wording I've added is, look, they're willing to write you a check. Are you willing to deposit it? That's essentially what I'm asking them. You can run the fundraiser. If it doesn't go anywhere, you haven't lost any money. You really haven't lost any time. But if you do earn something, whether it's $50 or $500, it's more than you had before. So additional ideas and opportunities. I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago that if you're at a vendor event between now and when this is all wrapped up, or even when you're at any vendor event, even if we don't have the double donation to promote, is if there are nonprofits at that vendor event, you should be going around and meeting each of them, introducing yourself, saying, I would love to get together with you and talk about how I could help your organization raise more money. I want to do this for you. It is amazing when you present it to them that way, that you want to do for them, how willing they are to talk to you. Now, with that being said, when I do sit down with them, I do make sure they know I'm not the only one working on this. I say to them, who are your strongest supporters? Let's form like a mini committee of people that support you the most to help get the word out together, and always bring it back around to together. Because I know that I've made that mistake and people thought I was going to do it all. It was just going to be me posting, me reaching out to my customers. Now, what I do is I have a link tree set up with all my fundraisers. And I promote that anytime on my main link tree that I post. I do put that out when I'm doing events that are not connected to fundraisers. And if people are talking about ordering, I'm saying, well, you want to order, do you have an organization that you like to support? And if they say no, just say, well, if you click on this link, and then I usually bring it up so they can see it, you could put your order on any one of these links and support one of these organizations. Now, some people will say to me, you're giving up commission. It's not about the commission. It's not the one and done. And this is why I do not do cash and carry at vendor events. I'm not a one and done person. I want to build a relationship. I want a long-term customer. So very rarely will I have cash and carry with me. But I give them that. And I can't tell you how many times people are more likely to order, because now what they want to buy for themselves, which they may or may not be able to justify, is now benefiting an organization. And that's huge. One other group before I move on that I want to share is if you have organizations that do things like celebrity chef events, where they have local people in the community cooking in front of people. We have a group called Madison's Miracles that has one coming up in June. And they use one of those like hibachi type restaurants. And each celebrity chef has to sell tickets to their table. They're also, when they agree to be a celebrity chef, they're agreeing to raise $3,000 each. So I've been connected to this organization for a while. So I proposed to her Wednesday last week. I said, hey, what if we do a challenge between all your chefs for Pampered Chef fundraisers? Each one will have their own fundraiser link. And I said, we'll sit down and come up with an incentive for the person for the top, 1, 2, or 3. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a donation to their team. It's a tax write-off for me. And they love the fact that I'm partnering with them. So, and that money's coming from what I'm earning, on the fundraisers. And it's not a lot. It'll probably be something like 175 and 50 or something like that. But that's another avenue, because now these celebrity chef groups, if you've never been involved in one, they get very competitive. Very competitive. We have Dancing with the Local Stars too here, which they haven't done since COVID. But once they get started, they're extremely competitive. It's not just about who dances the best, it's about who raises the most money. So finding those types of organizations and kind of honing in on that competition that's already there to reach out to them and work with them. Sue just shared great wording. Who are your strongest supporters? And let's have a committee and let's get the word out to everyone. I like that. Denise, can you repeat the question you asked about gathering strongest supporters? It was just essentially, who are the strong people that support your organization the most? Whether it's spreading the word, doesn't always have to be financial. You want the people that are loudmouths. You want the people that are on social media. You want the people that talk about the organization more so than the people that write checks, because you want the people that are going to spread the word about the fundraiser. Okay, the last thing that I have in my notes that I have just started doing, and this was actually from a training that we do on Monday nights with Donna and Crystal and them, is, and I apologize that I cannot think of who was doing that training, but was starting to use the QR codes, because people want to scan more than they want to type in a website. So even if you give it to them on, in a way that they can just click on it. One of the things that I had a hard time with vendor events years ago was the people that walk by and deliberately try not to make eye contact. So especially if there's an organization connected. So about 3-4 weeks ago, I did an event. It was called Luke Day. It was a local real estate company, and they were supporting 2 local animal rescues. And when I signed up to do the event, I said to them, could you put me in touch with the 2 organizations? I'd like to set up a link and donate a percentage of my sales that day to the 2 organizations and let people choose. First of all, they're taken aback by the fact that they didn't ask for a donation from you other than your vendor fee. So all of a sudden you're like glowing in their eyes. And when I called the 2 organizations, they're like, what, really? And I said, yes, absolutely. And I said, and we can do, a fundraiser in May, and we can even double the donations. So that's just going to get you in there. But when those people were walking by, I had little flyers printed, and it was very brief. I'll try and pull them up and post them, but it was very brief. It had 2 QR codes, one for each organization. And for those people that were walking by, I would just politely smile, put it out in front of them. They couldn't really walk by without hitting my hand, and just say, hey, I'm so glad you're here to support these 2 organizations. This is another way you can do that. Have you heard about this yet today? Have you heard the announcements? Because I worked with the girl that was emceeing the event to make sure she was announcing the fundraiser. So it's just another way to hand something out, not necessarily a catalog that you paid for, but it actually has the links through the QR codes on how they could help. And it was amazing how many people, their whole defensive, I'm going to walk past this person and not, make eye contact and not talk to them. All of a sudden they want to come talk to you in your tent. Like, oh, what do you have with you? Pampered Chef, I love Pampered Chef. All of a sudden it's like this whole different person just walked by. They just had this out of body experience, because it's about the organization. It's not about a sale. And then conversation started. And at that point, then I could tell them, I'm also doing a drawing at my table. Would you like to enter that? So just a way to kind of reach out to people, to get those people that just like to walk past. I'm very deliberate with my team when they go to do their first couple of events. Stay off your phone. Do not stand behind your table, stand in front of your table. Some of this goes back to Donna. I don't remember what year you and I did a vendor event presentation at conference together, right? Y'all need a good laugh today. We actually used an overhead projector, and I still have the overheads that we used for that presentation. That's how long ago it was. But anyway, sorry, I had to share that. But that was one of the big things we focused on with people was don't stand behind your table. And sometimes it drives people at events crazy because everyone pulls their tables out and then mine goes right back against the wall. And it kind of like offsets the flow a little bit. And the vendors around me are just looking at me like, what's she doing? I will not stand behind my table. That table creates a barrier between you and the people you're talking to. And when it comes to fundraising or just a regular vendor event, it creates a barrier between what you're there for. So that's pretty much all I've got. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I do have like a thing pulled up on my computer so I can go post wording and stuff that I've used in the group afterwards.
I have a quick question. And I don't know if anybody knows this answer for sure, but in marketing imagery, there are 2 flyers. They are both showing the double donations for May, but one is still stating $3 per booking and one shows $4 per booking.
I did not notice that.
Didn't notice that.
Might be Canada. It might be Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Do we see Canada book? I mean, it doesn't, I'm looking at the fundraiser planner and it doesn't say anything.
Yes, but Canada, there's always 2 of everything. One is for Canadians and one is for United States. Because there's a difference in value, right?
Right, but doesn't it usually have the little Canadian flag on it or the little maple
There's a
leaf?
little leaf somewhere, if you maybe
Yeah.
look closer.
Which I don't see that, so, but I don't know. I mean, Hope Lodge, they don't have Hope
Does
Lodge.
it say it at the very bottom? I didn't even look. I didn't even look at that, Sherry, but does it say it at the very bottom, like in the very small, teeny tiny print?
I
don't
don't
know. I
know.
could look at that.
No.
Okay,
We'll research that, Sherry, and put
Yeah,
it
thanks.
under
Yeah.
separate things.
I'm
Good-
imagining that's what it is though, too. Yeah.
Okay,
And since you mentioned that, Sherry, I will say that the one thing that I do offer is for bookings, they get their $3 when they book the party, but then I kind of give them a 3-month window. And at the end of that 3-month, any of those parties that have occurred, I give them an additional $7. So it's a $10 per booking. But I do it at the end of the 3 months so I can write one check. It's easier for me to kind of do bookkeeping with. Donna will tell you bookkeeping is my nemesis. But that way it's all together and then the organization works with me to make sure that bookings actually occur.
nice.
I've heard that from a few people. Somebody on my team noticed that and they're asking me and I'm like, I don't know, is it 3 or 4 or what? So, okay.
I don't know if you saw that comment by Sue Myers, and it's not just, it's definitely, I would definitely have to agree with that. You're a great speaker. Thank you so much for sharing today. You're so passionate about fundraising and it comes across so clearly. And
Thanks.
the ideas were amazing. I heard you speak when we had our other director call prior to that call, which none of it was recorded. I was like, what? I can't believe we didn't record that part of it. But anyway, this is even better because we got the full you for the full time. It was great. I'll let other people ask questions too, but thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So many things I didn't even realize that you brought to our attention. I don't know that I did not know that you cannot connect a fundraiser to a registry. Did anybody else know that? I don't know. I guess I didn't think you couldn't, but I was like, oh, well,
I
that's
think
kind
we're
of
just
cool.
so focused on it as a gift
Yeah.
registry
Yeah.
that we don't tend to think that way.
Yeah.
But I was kind of determined with the first one that I did a few years ago. I don't even know that it was a few years ago. Everything just blends together now. That it was just like, why not? Let's give it a shot. And it worked.
Yeah, only because I've done them before and then we would use them as auction items. So it wasn't necessarily a register, but how cool would that have been? I mean, that's like
You
brilliant.
could do that if they know they have an event
Yeah.
coming, because there's a lot of organizations where they have to come up with themed baskets and so forth. is doing that as well, is people could buy items to put in the baskets. And
Right.
Patty, I'm glad you said that, because I will say that I still donate. I know another friend and I were talking about this. I still donate product for silent auctions and raffles. I don't get much callback from most of them, but
Right.
I do it because we're just not in a financial position for me to write checks. So if I can do it where it's a tax write-off, and I've started doing it where I actually order the products as an order with the name of the organizer, that way I can track it better. Another thing I'm not good at is record keeping. So that way I can track it better. But I will tell you what I've done the past month, because there's been a lot of requests, is I deliver it to them. And when I do, I'm now starting to, and this is literally, I'm being honest here, the past month, I've been very intentional about saying, I hope this has a great impact tonight. And hey, listen, let's talk in a couple of days after, the clouds are done and everything's cleared up with the this event, because we just got an announcement that we can double donations on fundraisers in May. So I've been much more intentional. I just dropped one off yesterday. And the woman that's coordinating it, who I've known for years, she's like, I haven't hosted a Pampered Chef party in years. Let's do a fundraiser in May. In fact, can you give me flyers to put out next to your donation at the golf tournament, and we'll kick it off then. It's the first weekend in May. So if people ask, just follow up. There's no reason why you can't offer them. Don't ask them for a fundraiser. Offer them a fundraiser to follow up on that donation, because we know that most of the time things don't come back. The only success I've had, and I've only done this twice and it only worked with one, is my donation was the pizza peel, the pizza stone, the pizza cutter, the pizza crust, and the everything but the pizza seasoning, and a gift certificate for one pizza crust a month for a year. They have to call me to get it. And I have a woman, she's about 20 minutes away, and she calls me every month for her pizza crust. So now I have contact with the woman that won that item.
Yeah.
The second one, they haven't done any follow-up yet with, so I'm kind of playing it around, but I was trying to find a way to feed that. So that was just something I did.
Love that. Oh, you are so good, girl. Love those creative ideas. So Denise has a question. Have you had better luck going in person, sending a letter or a phone call to set up a meeting to contact a new org that you are reaching out to?
It all depends. I do a lot of, I know Carolyn does these too, is I do a lot of networking lunches. So a lot of my contacts come through networking lunches, and I will schedule, they're big on one-on-ones here. So we'll go sit and meet for coffee or, something like that, and present it to them. I did that 3 times last week, and I have 3 this week. So when it's possible and time allows, I try to sit down with them. If not, then I do it either by phone or I've done a lot of Facebook messaging. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
It just depends on the organization. But the one thing that I don't do is, I mentioned to you the list that I was making in my notebook the other night, is I won't message them right there and then. And that's why I wrote all those names down. I'm not going to message an organization at 10 o'clock at night. Now, granted, it's not wondering whether or not it's going to hit their phone. It's just, to me, that's not working hours. So as much as I struggle with keeping working hours, I want to present as somebody that works 9 to 5 in something like that. So if I'm going to reach out to an organization, whether it's Facebook message or any other way, even an email, I'm going to do it during working hours, because I just think it gives us more, gives an impression of us more as a business professional than just some fly by night. Because that is something, I don't know about the rest of you, but I do struggle sometimes with people. There's a couple of organizations here that they will not do a fundraiser with a direct sales organization, because they worry if they do it with one, everybody else is going to jump in and say, why won't you do it with me? So they'll take our silent auction donations, but they will not do a fundraiser. So I'm really kind of working on that professional appearance. Nancy Jo?
When they say that to me, I say to them that, well, will they donate their commission as well? Okay. If everybody wants to donate their commission, why wouldn't you? But, or part of their commission. That was, I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to add, because I've done fundraisers my whole career. You can say, depends on everyone's situation, of course, but you can say, I'll add another 5% commission at $2,000 in sales, 10% at 3%. 15% at 4, things like that. You can also, I really believe you need to get face-to-face as much as possible or do a Zoom call with them because they don't understand how we're different. Just like you said, by the way, Christina, you did an amazing job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I tell them how we're different, and that is we have so many products to choose from, not just 10 or 12 products, that there's no delivery, okay, and that they get a free gift at $80 purchase. My average when I did it a few years back was $64 per order, where when I normally order from the Girl Scouts, the kids at school, the pepperoni for the football games, whatever, it's about a $30 to $40 order. Right? This is double. And now that we're giving double, you really don't even have to give part of your commission. But if it's a way to get a group, like you're saying, that they don't do it because, then just offer part of your commission. Because the real bonus out of this is leads, because the only thing that they have in common is that group. Everybody has their own families, neighborhoods, and other organizations and groups that they're involved with. Okay. And I know Laura Teal did a $15,000 event for a cheerleading group. I know my nephew, when he was sick, his was 11,000 in sales. All right. And what we did is we took the check and made it out to the hospital to cover things that weren't paid. So you can have a check made out to a hospital, all right, and then give it to that person to go in and pay part of their bill. All right, so I mean, it can't be made out to a person, but that is a way around. Another time when people say, can you donate a basket? I'll say, yes, I could, but I'd like to do more. And how about if we have the committee each purpose to send out 25 emails to their friends and families in getting products for your event to then raffle off, because I can give a basket, but when we do it as a whole group, I mean, the last time I did this, or I should say the first time I did it, the committee sent it out to, they only sent out 25 emails. They raised $3,000 in sales. We did it during a double host free product. They got $1,500 in free product to raffle at their event. And they said they raised over, they weighed the tickets. They said by far the Pampered Chef tickets for the Chinese auction. By the way, I always encourage people not to do silent auction, always do Chinese, sell it by the arm length, you know, for $20, whatever. That is so much more profitable for every organization. But they said that they raised $6,000 for this gal's medical bills because of the pre-work we did, and they only sent it out to 25 people. So you can get it much bigger if you work on that. So I talked about the average order. We're not double, like you said, double charging for things. Our stuff is tangible. It's not going to be eaten up. When they think about that, in fact, I've gotten thank you notes from people. Thank you for selling something I'm going to be able to use over and over and over in the kitchen instead of saving something for a special occasion, because I know I just paid double for popcorn or pizzas or, you know, different things like that. Gymnastics, churches, mission groups are raising money right now for summer mission groups. And like you said, those other ones, but I just love what you did, Christina. Fantastic. So there's just a couple other little notes for when you're sitting down with people. It's really, really important to tell them how we're different. Thanks.
A couple of people are asking about Chinese auctions. That's not really something that we would be doing because that kind of falls into the pay to play a little bit, but that's what a lot of organizations will do. They have an option of either a silent or a live auction, where people like a silent auction, they're writing down the next bid in $10, $15 increments, or a Chinese auction is where people buy tickets. So you might have a whole table of baskets that people have donated for the organization, and people can buy tickets. And they've done them sometimes where it's like $2 a ticket or 3 for $5, or like Nancy just said, an arm's length. And a lot of the organizations around here do that. And they also do like a whole wingspan. And we joke around, you can find any person in the crowd and use their wingspan if it's longer than yours. And it
Right.
just kind of makes it fun, and people start dropping 20s and $30 and $40 all at a time. And then they take the tickets and they put them in the bags for what they want to win. And I agree with you, Nancy Jo, that our things raise a lot of money when they do that, and they far outweighs the value of what we donate when they do it that way versus a silent auction.
Well, and when you give the organizers that choice of doing it that way, then they see the bigger picture of you put about $100 worth of products in each basket, and people will, if they have 20 tickets, they feel like they have a better chance of winning by putting 3 or 5 tickets in each one. And like, I won't even do a silent auction, doesn't matter what it is, because it frustrates me that if I'm not there at the very last minute, there's no way I'm getting it. But I do have a chance with this bag of tickets in front of this basket or in front of this gift certificate, whatever it may be, I have a chance at it. And it really works. And I always coach anyone that's doing any kind of, unless it's a big item like 4 seats to the Bears game with sky boxes, whatever, then you want to charge individual tickets. And again, you still don't want just the last person to do it. I think they lose money with silent auction personally. I'd rather buy a $50 ticket and get a chance just like you and you and you. And instead of selling the product for $120, you just collected 200 just by selling 4 tickets. So sometimes I think we need to educate people on different ways to do it and to how to raise the most money,
And I think it also makes a difference when you're like, my husband and I will volunteer for organizations that have galas that are like $125, $200 per person. We will volunteer because we can't pay that much to go to the galas to support them. So we're like, well, we'll be bodies there so you can enjoy. But a lot of people can't do that, but they can go to other fundraisers and they can buy $5, $20 worth of tickets. And I always tell people, it kind of almost sounds evil, but this is how you get the money out of their wallets. Because if it's a silent auction, like you said, and all of a sudden that silent auction goes up to $100, but I only have $20 to spend, well, my $20 is going home with me. You just lost my $20. And probably 10 or 15 other people's $20 too. So I'm the same way with organizations. I encourage them to do the Chinese auction style because they can I think they get more money than if they did it otherwise too.
Well, and especially if they've earned the products or they earned the cash to buy the products. They've earned the donation, the fundraiser in May, get the products in June for whenever their event is, they can put together the baskets and then turn around and raffle those off and get even more money. So it's really, because the big thing is we don't increase our prices. And if they order 150, it's even free. And there's no delivery. The kids don't have to deliver the sausages and the cookies and the wrapping paper and all that kind of stuff. So there's no delivery involved. And everybody from across the nation can order from the kids' things rather than, like my grandkids just did, like I said, pepperonis for the football team and cheerleading team, Well, Fallon's not going to turn around and ship these all over the country. So it was only local people that could do it. So that's one of the differences that really opens it up.
And that is what you really need to promote to the organization is the fact that we don't charge over. They don't have to do deliveries. And that was, let me tell you, that was a godsend because I've been doing this since before direct ship. And when it was schools, because they couldn't have knives come into the schools to send home with the kids on the school buses, I literally had to go park and sit in the parking lots for parents to come and pick up their orders because we couldn't give the orders to the kids. So we have a huge blessing. And I don't personally know, and I'm not quoting this and saying this is true. I have not come across another direct sales company that is set up like we are with fundraising. I know of one other that has a selection of products. But in most cases, it's the consultant. The only option they have is to give a percentage of their commission in order to fundraise. We have a blessing with Pampered Chef that they've given to us, and it is definitely workable.
And with the shipping, sometimes people say, well, I don't have to pay shipping on that. And he says, well, I want to tell you 2 things that you can offset your shipping. First of all, the free gift at $80 is always worth way more than the the shipping is. And then secondly, think about those little ones that don't have to deliver. This has really taken a huge burden off of mom and dad. And with gas prices the way it is, $8 is cheap.
Christina, real quick, I put it in the chat, but you know, me and my techie stuff. We've been encouraged to put the shopping link. Don't use the shopping link for fundraisers because it puts the host name at the very top in little bitty and they have no idea who that host is. You need to use the party link because it will explain that this is a fundraiser for whatever and the shop now is there. It is really disconcerting to look because I was doing one for the robotics team and they're not going to have a clue who this, well, they might because it's the booster mom, but other than you start passing it out and they won't realize that they're doing this for the fundraiser. It won't correlate. And then I put in there, I'm doing a QR code to a preloaded table party also. And I'm doing a video. My intro video is tailored to that fundraiser. So I say a little bit about for the robotics one, it was easy because my kid's on it, but I might even, if I don't know enough about the fundraiser, do like a Zoom interview with the organization to put into that table party a video intro because we want it to be about the organization. And then I did a picture of some of the robots, made sure no kids' pictures were in it. And so if they didn't want to watch the video, they could read about the organization. And then below all that, those are pinned at the top. And then below all that is just regular product posts from the table stuff so that they can watch videos if they want. And they can, you know, have a preloaded party.
Carolyn, I think you hit something right on the nail. It's the heart tug, is making sure that everything comes back to the organization. So as much as you can partner with an organization, especially if you're not personally connected to it, so that people that are coming to it, they see what the money is doing for them. The one that I proposed for our local ARC for the group homes, our hope is to do a live cooking presentation for a small group and have 3 of the independent living residents actually cook with me. So that they can see their faces and they can see the joy on their faces learning to cook and that people are putting these kitchens. And it's the same thing as connecting them to that. And I'm glad you mentioned about the link because I do that, but it's one of those things you do. And you don't always remember to tell other people to do. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
I have a question though. That link, I usually do use a party link, but I make sure that the name is like, I put not the guest, the host, your organizer's first and last name. I fill in that as the organization. So
that's very important too. That's definitely very important. But I know like what Carolyn was mentioning is sometimes there's confusion. If they come to
like that. I love her idea. I didn't know that, but I think another idea around it or do both,
Yes, absolutely.
Because you want to be in front of their face enough of who it's for, like the heart tug you guys were saying. So
yeah,
but the shopping link doesn't, some people are using the shopping link because Pampered Chef has told us, hey, use the shopping link. It takes them right there. They don't have to click again. The shopping link doesn't say anything about who the fundraiser is. It has
But that's what Debbie's saying. Instead of putting Carolyn Smith as the host, you put whatever the organization is, Rising Stars or Save the Tatas or whatever the name of the group is as the host name. And then before you close it, you just change the name to the host name and then you close it. So then you can use the Shop Now link, but it has that name as the first and last name is the name of the organization.
Got it.
When you preview it, you do see that. Thank you, Susan, for clarifying. I know Nancy Jo was just talking about, both of you guys were like the 10, like the point that we need to make a point of why our fundraisers are so good. So I actually had made up this on, one of the foam boards and it stands up. So I bring this to vendor events, cooking shows, you can bring it to anything. I also have the flyer made up separate, and that's got like the top 10 reason. It actually is 1 through 10 here, of like, we don't have to ship, get shipped directly, there's no separating, why we don't increase the price, like all the reasons why Pampered Chef fundraisers are so important, which I know Christina and Nancy Jo were talking about before, but you guys can make up a flyer about it as well. I mean, I can share it in the group too.
Debbie, can you send that to Denise so that when she includes like documents, because I'm sending her some stuff too, that she can put all that together with the link for today? That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I had made a postcard up years ago because Denise, Christina, like you, I've been doing them for years. So I used to mail these out to schools I'm in New Jersey, so we don't end till the end of June school. So we can still do the 8th grade fundraisers, which get on them now for May, and the senior year, the project graduations. But I mail these out to like a lot of the teachers and, or, coaches or whatever. I used to, but I also use these now on my vendor tables, or if you do cooking shows, you just leave them out because it's word of mouth. Like they'll look at it to be nosy and they'll be like, oh, fundraising, you do fundraising. Like if you forgot to talk about it. Cooking shows I always brought up. Have you guys ever heard of this? Okay, so Christina, have you ever seen a Pampered Chef fundraiser catalog before?
I have not.
Right, most people are like, fundraising, Pampered Chef does fundraising, or I have not. Then that's when you go over that we don't charge full price, that we charge the same amount everybody else charges. And then I'd say, okay, so Christina, have you ever bought wrapping paper or candy or candles from one of those fundraisers?
I have.
And how much money do you pay for them? But you can go to the store and get them for like half off, right? So you kind of go over that scenario with them, building that up, and say, hey, we don't increase the price. It's the same price and it's every single item in this catalog. So that's that. And the one, because I know Marie asked me, or Marie chimed in to ask me to chime in once in a while. Because I'm like you, I love them, Christina, and thank you. You gave me more ideas, which is always good because I'm passionate about them. Is when you're reaching out to somebody, my favorite line, I know Christina said she's going to share some, is I just say, do you have a Pampered Chef fundraiser on your calendar? And then they'll be like, I don't know why, but that wording works. I know Christina's got some too, she said, but it just gets them to answer you. Like they'll either be like, no, or they'll be like, you do fundraising, you know what I mean? And then you go into, instead of throwing up at them about everything about how good Pampered Chef fundraisers are, short and sweet, get the conversation going.
I love that. That is
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
Oh, this is from multiple trainings like yourself. We eat up all these fundraisers and learn more tips along the way. So, but yeah, something I just learned on Sharon Zellen's I had heard the other day. So I will shout out her because I don't remember everybody like you don't. Is she also said to post on, like to make a social media post, is anyone a Girl Scout or Boy Scout leader? Please comment. I have a question for you.
So Debbie, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. If anyone gets through with the Girl Scouts, let me know.
Well, I'm going to show you a
I
trick
have-
right now.
Okay, tell me that.
Went through a tip here. So I'm with you on that one. Because, okay, so what Christine is talking about, Boy Scouts will usually do fundraisers with Pampered Chef. Girl Scouts can't because there's too many rules. That's the short version, right? Christina, you agree? There's too many rules with Girl Scouts. And I was a Girl Scout leader, but I can say that it's the truth. So the wording, the back would be Pampered Chef. Oh, thank you for commenting on the Girl Scout. When they respond yes, some of them are going to say, you know what I mean? Like you're going to go for you want to get the fundraiser, but they can't call them a fundraiser with Girl Scouts. So you can say, we can have an event to benefit Girl Scout troop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But if you let them know that they usually can get around, and this is from Sharon, not from me, instead of calling it a fundraiser, an event to benefit group, they all have their own group numbers. And they have gone back to Girl Scouts and Girl Scouts says that's fine because it's not called a fundraiser.
And
Can I jump in on that? Because I've done corporate and I've done individuals on both of that. So
Yay.
I know somebody who's the district person for Boy Scouts, and I also had a hostess that worked at corporate Girl Scouts here in New Hampshire. And so we did a pie class right at the corporate office. And we raised funds from the corporate office during that fundraiser. So corporately they can. And then also the same thing, often individual mothers of groups they create a checking account called just what Deb Cook was saying is the check gets written out to Friends of Troop 157. So they create a group and they create a checking account for that group. So it's not the Girl Scouts of America. The group that's getting the check is Friends of Troops 127, and all of the mothers in that group do it that way. So both ways you can get it go to corporate if you want to try to get a corporate one. But each individual troop, often you can do it as Friends of 127, but they have to have like a checking account where they can deposit into that.
Yeah, and I've done fundraisers before because I was a leader and we did one and I knew that we had it. I just didn't get it approved because I wasn't one that had to follow the rules. Not to be mean, but like we need to raise money for something for their badge. So we just did it on the sly. You will come across those parents that will not go against the rules. So if they're one of them, that's when you just offer that idea about an event to benefit. But yes, we all had our separate own checking account.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
when
what-
people ask, like, how do I create an account through the bank or whatever, just have them go to the bank. I have a friend who's a banker and she's like, Sue, just send them to me. I'll get their account set up.
Yeah.
So the bankers know how to create those accounts for them. So you don't need to orchestrate that for them. You just send them to their local banker and have them ask.
So quick question for you though, is that a separate account than their regular troop account? Because I used to be a troop leader too. And we had one and it just said troop, whatever number it was. It didn't say friends of, but as long as they have their own troop account, that's what you're saying?
I'm assuming that troop account is the same. It's the ones that I had done said friends of troop, whatever. So that's how they had their account listed. So it's however the troop mother or whatever, however they created that account, like whatever they named it, because the check can't be written out to the Girl Scouts of America. It has to be written out to each individual troop.
The Girl
So if they
Scout
have a
troop
checking
is-
account for that troop, then you should be good to go.
Okay.
It's
Thank
just
you
if
for
you
sharing.
have some of the
Nancy Joe's
leaders.
raising her hand too.
Oh, I was gonna say the leaders, if they're picky, like they have to follow the rules, then that's, use the other way. But some of the parents will not, they don't, they just won't tell Girl Scout headquarters if you
Yeah.
want to technically call it a fundraiser, but just say an event to benefit, and then you don't have to worry about it. Who had a hand raised, you said?
I have a comment, a really fun thing to do with the Girl Scouts and probably Boy Scouts too, is like for the Girl Scouts, we did a tea for the moms and the girls. And the girls helped me cook and make all these things. So they were working on their cooking badge and the girls were dropped off early. We did everything together. Then the moms came and then we did just a little presentation and they were gonna raise funds to go sleep with Sue the dinosaur down at the Field Museum. So the check was made out to the Field Museum. Okay. And then they took that down to buy the tickets. All right. So that's another way around it without breaking any rules, having special accounts, things like that. If they're going to Great America, you can do things like that too. So because you're right, a lot of the leaders will not deviate in any way, but if they're going to go do something special, they can do that. So anyway, but it was the high tea was really fun with the girls. We made, all kinds of little things and I handled all the knife stuff. I brought it all pre-chopped, but they assembled stuff and then served it to the moms. And we talked about food and I made sure we covered everything they needed to for the cooking badge. But that was a really fun way to get in. And it was an $1,800 party.
It is a fun way, especially with Mother's Day coming up, because I did a Mother's Day tea with the Boy Scouts. And I made like the little bundt cakes and then I brought them all made with the icing. They made cards for their moms. And then the parents were sitting on the other side of the room and I did a little demo for them while they were doing their cards. And then they walked the stuff over to their moms to give for Mother's Day. So you definitely just got to be creative. I know Christina had great creative ways of doing fundraisers. So you can make any work if you want to do in-person ones too. So.
Absolutely. Fun.
Wow. I have been blown away by I was like, oh my gosh, how long have I been in this business? They're brand new ideas and things that I've not heard before. And we have like what I want to call like the trio of now these fundraising, because I think you guys have all added some additional ideas and benefits to doing these fundraisers and the way you guys are doing them and going about doing them. So I can't tell you, this recording is going to be definitely a recording that not just the other directors you can go back and listen to, but this is going to be great for your teams, because I think that, with all that is going on, yeah, Susan, yeah, go ahead. Susan.
There's just one other thing. I was scrolling
Yeah.
my stuff because I just did a training for my team on this. There was one other thing that I did. As a mother, I would never read those long letters that people would send me about fundraisers, right? So two things, you got to know your audience. If you're dealing with elementary school or middle school kids, don't use a brown craft envelope, buy a Ziploc gallon size baggie that doesn't slide, but that's you push and clip. A catalog will fit inside that, because if it's see-through, the parent will see it and they'll pull it out of the bag. Plus, if it's on the countertop, they will see it through the countertop bag and people go, oh, paper chef. Whereas if it's a brown manila envelope, it's going to get lost on a counter and nobody's going to deal with it. The second thing I did is I used shipping labels and return address labels. And I would now I'll be using obviously a QR code, but I had a big thing on the front that says, please share this link with 25 of your family and friends on social media to help get the word out for your organization. So like immediately I'm asking them to take action. Like if you don't do anything else and you don't even buy anything, not that I'm saying that, I'm asking you to share this on social media so that we do the whole 6 degrees of separation and get outside of these family and friend circles. Also, if you're doing fundraisers for specific organizations such as DC 8th grade trip and band and chorus, each individual student needs to raise their own money for that. And so I incentivize the student themselves, but I also keep track of everybody's orders separately. So we get an email in and it says, so-and-so placed an order on the fundraiser. I hit the hyperlink for the email and I go back, I have a text replacement. If you don't know how to do that, check your directors. So I type in 2 letters and it's like, thank you so much for your order on such and such. Which student would you like to receive credit for that? That's in big, bold, red letters. And then they get back to me. And so I just keep an Excel spreadsheet. You want to make sure that the amount is before shipping and tax. That way, each individual student will work harder, or the mother, honestly, will work harder because her specific student is getting the results from what they do. Whereas if you all goes into a group, a lot of kids aren't going to do anything. And I had one mom one year ask me, well, what if he raises enough money that it pays for the whole trip and he raises more? And I said, I will cut him a check for spending money. And I tell you, he raised the entire amount for his DC 8th grade trip and he had $20 in spending money. So like, yay, that mother did like a $2,000 show herself because she couldn't afford her kid to go on that trip, but she worked super hard with that.
Wow.
So, and sometimes it's a whole organization. Like I did a kindergarten trip that needed to pay for the bus and the nurse. So it was the whole kindergarten class that was raising funds for that. So the way I incentivize high schoolers would be, back in the day, I would say sell X amount, $600 or $300 or whatever, and get a $10 iTunes gift card. And you can buy them at Sam's Club for a little bit cheaper than $10, a package of 4 or whatever, you save a couple bucks on them. So, but if it were young kids, it would be like an ice cream at McDonald's, the $1 ice creams at McDonald's, and I would get a coupon book or something like that. So know your audience and incentivize the kids. And then if you're doing like the 8th grade trip, the DC 8th grade trip, and you're working with the 7th grade classrooms, see if you can get your classroom teachers to do a little friendly competition, like, who's got the most orders, who's got the amount of sales, that kind of thing. And like keep it like a little chart going and then offer to, order pizza into the winning classroom or something like that, because that will get the kids being like, oh my gosh, mom, you have to take this to work, because they want the pizza party. So again, just know the audience. And if you're going in person, like I went to the band and chorus for many years, until some parent who sold a different product got mad that I had the I had both the DC 8th grade and the band and chorus, and then I got booted out of both schools, so they wouldn't do personal ones anymore. But go in, have a big piece of paper behind you with your name and your cell phone number on it, because most of these kids have phones. And I say, pull out your phone right now before I start my demo of my chocolate lava cake and text me your name, your parents' name, and the name of this school, like MVHS. So now I have all of their text information. And when I go home that day, I have an image already created that is what I want them to share on social media. And then I just say, hey, share this with your parents and share this on your social media accounts. And because their social media accounts are different than ours, you know, those young kids, they don't use Facebook anymore, but I tell them to do it. And then halfway through the fundraiser, I've got a list of all those kids' names again. I go back and I give them the, hey, we're halfway through. Can you share it one more time? And then, hey, we're ready to wrap up. Can you please have your parents reach out to me? So that's a way that they, you know, they'll pull it out. They don't know why they're texting you. So before you even tell them why, you say, pull out your phones, text me your name, your parents' name, etc. And then I bring a pre-made chocolate cake. I just dollop the frosting in it. I microwave it in the, you know, their microwave, which they usually have. And I feed the kids 2 bites of chocolate lava cake usually or whatever. And they're so excited about that. So instead of having a top seller, somebody says I have a top seller gets a $20 gift card. Instead of doing the top seller, incentivize every student, because what happens is they go, oh, Carolyn's going to get it. She always gets it. So if you, instead of saying, if you sell over $200, you get a $20 gift card, everybody who sells $300 will get, and don't even give the amount, an iTunes gift card. You know what I'm saying? Then everybody can win. It's kind of like our incentive trips. You know, people go, oh, you won that? No, I earned it. And anybody who earns it can go. So if you only do incentivize the top people, a lot of kids know that certain people, their mother really hustles, and so they're not going to get it. But if they know if they hustle, they'll get it too. So those were my last points.
This is an amazing call. I am just overwhelmed by the amount of ideas. It's been so great, right? Naomi's given it a thumbs up there. I would have to agree too. I think, yeah, Lori's got a big heart there. Thank you, Lori. I think it is good. You guys rocked out all the information. I don't think we missed out on anything. You guys answered all of the questions and stuff. This has just been great. I think we all got to get working on this, right? Right? Marie, do you have anything else?
No, I was just, I know Debbie's going to share her flyer, but I was just curious what her top 10 things about a Pampered Chef fundraiser were. And I absolutely love Susan's wording, no bagging, tagging.
Yeah. Yeah.
No bagging, tagging, schlepping. I don't know.
Where is that? I got to go find that. You know what? Why don't
Tagging,
you put that
tagging,
in
sorting, or delivering. Because I also did on April vacation, 36 boxes in a hallway, and it took 2 days to bag, tag, sort, and then write the names on it. So yeah, no more of that. Thank God for direct ship.
Debbie, what are the top 10 reasons?
If you let me share, I can just share the screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on just a second. Let's get you. Go, girl.
Because it came from somebody else originally. I had revamped it. I think Tish Jones had gotten it from somebody years ago.
Okay.
But so it's like got the top 10 reasons. So like raise money for your organization, because that should be number 1. Shop the entire catalog. Prices aren't inflated. We talked about all of this before. You know, product line is easily identified, enjoyed by all. Chairperson, guest special. Because I mean, these other companies don't give the guests a special if they order a certain amount, right?
No, yeah.
Easy online for out of town and family. So I want to point out that, you know, I love for them, because I usually do a lot of local ones. I want them to know, don't forget to reach out to those people far away. Ship direct, variety of fundraiser options, because I offer, you know, in person. Now we have table, we have texting, we have, you know, multiple ways, Facebook parties. I don't know why this doesn't line up, but they have a personalized consultant. It's not like just dealing with a corporation, you know, like they have us to help them. This is tricky for certain people, but basically it is, if you have 25 people collecting $300 in orders, right? It's $1,500 profit. This is based on, I think this is the one with the 20%, because I always offered an extra 5% of my commission, which you do not need to do, especially I'm not doing that in May. But so really it's 5 people collecting $60 each, which equals 300. It's just an easier way to break it down. Like, hey, you guys don't have to buy $300. Just get 5 people to buy $60 each, and this is how
Yeah.
much money you make.
Wow.
So this is, and then it was about the $3. So that's just a flyer that if somebody asks about the fundraiser, right now, a lot of people, because you're promoting the double, and I'm reaching out to a lot of people from years of doing fundraisers, they're not asking me for this, but if somebody wants information to bring back to somebody, because they got to get it approved, this is like the flyer I give them. I mean,
Debbie?
might have a better one. I don't know.
Debbie, don't forget to update your free product, your gift with purchase. It says $75 purchase in small print there.
Yeah, I didn't really look at, but thank you. I didn't look at which one I pulled. I have so many in here. See, this is 2017.
Oh, okay.
I just pulled one up really quick, but thank you. I will make sure the new one, and I really just got to delete the old ones, but yeah, they don't get anything on the other ones, so why not, right? Anyway, hope you like that.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Nance, I think you're trying to say something and you are on mute.
Okay, I was gonna say, Denise, are you available somewhere? Talk.
She's
if
on the
Denise-
call.
She's on the call. Maybe we can get Denise to kind of revamp it with current for this year's
Yeah.
totals and stuff, because I think, like we
That
said,
would be
we've
great.
never done it for everybody before. We've never done the double for everybody. So that you guys really need to advertise that, because
Mhm.
it's only been for the two main organizations. So,
Yeah.
but Denise, maybe I can get you to do that when you're working.
Yes. I'm here and I've reached out to each one of the girls. They're going to send me each of their stuff individually, and I'll have everything posted by tomorrow morning at the latest.
Yep, and then you
Okay.
can just leave a spot on there for them to put their own name or whatever.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'll put it each in a different guide, tag their names with it. Does that sound good?
Say that again?
I'm going to post them in the guides and I'll tag each one of them as a different one with their information that they're sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just saying, for the person that's going to use it, leave it the spot blank without any name on it.
At the bottom where it says consultant contact, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, I understand what you're asking me to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll create it in Canva as a,
The one I'm gonna share is blank, doesn't have my name.
okay,
Okay.
I'll create one as a template also in a Canva of anything else that they share, that they need to redo that. So yeah, I can do that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Awesome.
I just want to thank you guys. This has been
Ah.
so incredibly
Yeah.
helpful. And I think we can make May amazing. And, if anybody's trying to finish Excellence Award year, get a promotion, could you imagine the power of, doing fundraisers and having those extra sales, extra people being active? So.
Yeah.
Well, and think about the fact that if you set it up now, you still have a week or 6 days left to get April sales. If your April needs boosting, you
Yes.
can have April sales that will be May parties. And I did talk to the home office about that, because at first they were really discouraging that, and they said that there's no way that that their systems can't stop that. So guess what, guys? You didn't hear it from me, but go ahead and get things started, and then those orders will go into April as well as May. As long as you close it in May, that's the big deal.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Great.
At
Thank you so
Canva,
much.
if you share the Canva link too, either in our group chat or on the page, we can delete out your QR code and add our own in. So that's,
This is actually a Google.
oh, perfect. That would be
This
great.
is a Google one, which I do make
Yeah.
a generic one for
Love
share.
it.
Just so not everybody's reaching out to me all at once, you know what I mean? But I do a generic one. But this actually one of my hosts did for a fundraiser that did really good. But this is, if they do the right way, it's clickable. Like these are all clickable links.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it's just a different, I use another one too, depending, because I like, the top sell. I love Susan's idea about the top seller, but before that, I always did the top seller. I like the way she does anybody who sells over. So I definitely will be doing that in the future. But so mine might say top
Bingo.
seller. But, some of them do, some of them don't, depending who it's for. But anyway. And now I'm putting a table link because I
Awesome.
want to try to get them over to table.
Yay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, you guys. Really appreciate this. Well, we have got a lot of recording time. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop this recording because it's super
Thank
long.
you, Christina.